Another Facebook Friday. I'm Dr. Van Scoyk, once again joined by Dr. Botros, and we're here at the Chiropractic Company in Glendale. Today we've got a good topic for you. Once again, I think that they're all good topics, otherwise I wouldn't bring them to you. But we're going to talk to you about something that has to do a little bit with the season that we're currently in. Right now, we are in the midst of pumpkin spice season. And of course, what does that mean? Pumpkin spice candles, pumpkin spice scents everywhere, but also pumpkin spice coffees. And that brings us to what our next topic today is. And that is caffeine good or bad for stress? Sometimes just the smell of these coffees is good enough to bring you into a happier place, and there's a lot of good stuff that can come from it. But is it good for you or is it bad for you? Talk to us a little bit about caffeine, Dr. Botros.
So caffeine, believe it or not, is technically categorized as a psychoactive drug, meaning it can affect your mind and your mood. And so when we consider the effects that caffeine does, what it does inside your brain and with your nervous system is you have these receptors. So if you imagine it's like a cup, and you have these hormones and neurotransmitters that are supposed to fit perfectly in this cup. And we see when we're tired, caffeine blocks that so we don't actually feel the fatigue and tiredness that we normally would. And so that's the mechanism of how caffeine works, but we see that if maybe we're using too much, it can actually start to affect different things, maybe not in the best way here.
Caffeine's a really interesting topic, once again that we get asked a lot as far as nutritional issues are concerned. And in the chiropractic company and for chiropractic in general, we talk about a variety of different stressors that impact the body. There's physical stress, there's chemical stress, and there's emotional stress. And all of these stresses impact how your body functions and how it feels and how you live on a day-to-day basis. And so some of the aspects that we don't always talk a whole lot about are chemical health and emotional health. And we've been trying to touch more on those here through these videos because we talk a lot in office about physical health. So this is a great way to address some of the chemical health and emotional health that we need to deal with on a daily basis. When we look at caffeine, a lot of people know that when you take in caffeine, it does initially give you a lot of good feelings. It's one of those things that does make you feel better when you have a small amount of caffeine. It actually allows for your body, once again, from a chemical standpoint to function better and from an emotional standpoint to function better. But like Dr. Botros said, unfortunately, sometimes if you get too much caffeine, then it will have a negative response. Actually, caffeine has an opportunity to build in extra cortisol. And for people who work out or who take care of the body, they know that cortisol is really a very negative influencer in how your body functions and feels. Excess cortisol can once again make it so that you feel lethargic, can make you feel all sorts of different negative feelings in addition to adding and putting on weight. So in some circumstances, caffeine, because of its advanced ability to put on cortisol into your system, can actually cause you to put weight on. Now, a lot of people think when they're drinking these sugary drinks, it's only just the extra sugar that you have on there, the extra whipped topping or some of the cookie crumbles that you have in there. But no, sometimes actually the extra caffeine can cause issues. There's other issues that come with some of these stresses as well. Talk a little bit about some of the extra stresses that can happen with this.
So we see that when we consume caffeine for long periods of time and we start to gradually build a tolerance, meaning 1 cup of coffee in the morning is no longer good enough, and then for lunch, maybe you do want to get that pumpkin spice latte or another cup of coffee. We see that we start to build more and more caffeine into the system, which again, initially is very stimulating and can almost produce a sense of well-being and euphoria while you take it. However, one thing you got to keep in mind is if you are doing this for a long period of time, you can actually cause adrenal fatigue. Now, the adrenals are these small glands that sit right on top of the kidneys that, quite frankly, don't really get much love, especially in this day and age. Any kind of stress that we put into our bodies, the adrenals are what actually helps us combat that so that we can survive. And so the adrenal glands produce adrenaline, right? And it also produces cortisol. And just as Dr. Van Scoyk mentioned, if we start to elevate that cortisol level, which is our stress hormones, we start to accumulate fat. It makes us more prone to, some people are very prone to this actually, anxiety, even some panic attacks if they're consuming too much. So we really want to make sure that we give our nervous system, our digestive system, those of you who drink coffee in the morning know that if it's been a while, you'll probably want to go to the restroom very shortly after that, and our adrenals a break so that our body's ability to tolerate stressors from day-to-day life can be optimized and do what it does best.
Absolutely. And that brings in another point as far as caffeine is concerned. We all know, once again, that you're actually